Freaks is a movie that's been on my list because it premiered at the 2019 Vancouver International Film Festival. I never got around to watching it at that time, and I was waiting for the library to have the DVD, but it's on Netflix. So this movie is about a young girl named Chloe. She lives in this dilapidated house with her father, and every day he trains her to, not go outside because there are bad people that want to kill her. However, she's very curious though, and she's got the exhibiting weird phenomena in the basically the attic where she has a room. There's a ghostly woman that keeps appearing crying in their closet, and she can also sort of has this weird power to communicate with a neighbor girl. And then we find out, the world isn't as dangerous as she thinks. However, the movie just peels back layers and becomes a completely different movie every time, every like 10 minutes. The movie has a great cast. I don't want to get into the plot too much, but basically Chloe has powers, and so does everyone else in her family. And we live in this, they live in this sort of dystopian future where people developed powers, and the government decided to, hit them back with deadly force. So there's this whole history going on in the background that you get snippets of, but basically Chloe and her father are fugitives, and they're trying to hide from the ADF, probably I don't know what that stands for, but they're basically villains. And the movie is really low budget, but it does a lot with a little. And the movie also has like really great performances all around. From the little girl, she pretty much holds up the entire movie. Emile Hirsch does a great job as the dad. Bruce Dern as the ice cream man. And there's also the Agent Ray, played by Grace Park. She does a really great job. The villains in this movie aren't like developed, but they're dangerous. That's important because it's like we don't get to give them a lot of character development, but we know why. At least they have such deadly countermeasures against people with powers. In science fiction fantasy, like X-Men or something, they always have the BS sort of like, oh, this is like the power inhibitor. If I turn it on, no one in this room has powers. And you have to when it comes to that, like X-Men or storylines like that. However, in this storyline, there's nothing like that. It's a very grounded sort of, if people had powers, it changes them. If you have the power with heat vision, and you decide you could go out and you could kill anyone or anything, how would you stop someone like that? You could shoot them with a tranquilizer, strap them to a table, and put like maybe a big mask over their face, but how do you feed them? How do you feed that prisoner? How do you make sure he doesn't laser, the closest person's face off? And so the ADF's kind of doctrine is to shoot first, ask questions later. And one of the telltales is blood coming out of your eye, so they all have this great world building of how to detect, abnormals, how to take them down, and how to kill them. Because, in reality, if people started inhabiting powers, there's no way to, basically keep them in check. Every person's powers are different, and there's no way to tell. So they pretty much just started executing anyone with powers. So that's the kind of dangerous world that everyone lives in. So basically, Chloe and her dad decide to go on a different kind of mission. I don't want to get into the plot too much because I don't want to give it away. But overall, Freaks is a really great movie. It's like it has that indie feel, but really good acting, decent enough budget, great story and characterization. A really good tone. And it's a half Canadian film, half American. That's why it premiered at the Vancouver International Film Festival. But Freaks is a very recommended movie for sure. It will please action fans, fantasy fans, sci-fi fans. Definitely a nice surprise, and I was not expecting the quality that I got. So I give Freaks an 8.5 out of 10.